You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio.
Welcome to 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games, music, seasonal, pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today, as always, is Tom.
Yeah, so welcome. It's been a busy few weeks again. Not so much to talk about on the movies and TV side this week. Obviously, as you know, Avengers Endgame has come out. We both haven't had the chance to actually go and watch it yet, so we're going to leave that until the next show, when we will actually have time to discuss that in more detail. But we're going to jump into the gaming section, and something that has really been like a key thing that we talk about quite a lot, and that's Death Stranding. So you've put an article up here about Kojima's going to be at Tribeca. Is it the film festival? Yeah, Tribeca Film Festival.
He's already been there.
Has he already been there?
Yeah, he's already been there.
Of course, he's already been there.
the full audio is out now, and he's his whole thing that happened with him and Norman Reedus on stage was exactly how we thought it was going to be. Not a lot of details, and it was literally just a general chat about Kojima and how much he admires Norman Reedus as an actor, and how essentially Death Stranding is Norman Reedus the game.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't know what Kojima's doing at the moment, but he's got another 2 months here, and I'm officially not rolling with this. Like, I just don't know what it is about it here, but it's getting a lot more confusing, as if it's becoming, as I said before, more of like an experience rather than a game. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not quite sure about it now. Like, he's giving more details at like Tribeca Film Festivals rather than at game like festivals and things like that. And it's making me like think, well, what audience are you trying to pander to? Like, which audience are you trying to get out? Is it the film audience or is it the game audience? And I think he might just fall a little bit short on both sides. Like, the film audience might not regard this as like a masterpiece, and the game crowd might consider this game to be a bit tedious and boring. I don't know. I'm just looking at the details he's telling us, and the details Norman Reedus is also saying, and the other things that we're hearing from other people playing the game. A lot of people are saying that how this game is like, they don't know how it would work. I keep hearing that, and I'm getting worried that this is the reason why we won't see anything extended from the game, because it's really, really complicated, or at least it has some type of complex functionality that can only be experienced in game.
Well, we spoke before,
which I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we spoke before about how he's talking about new systems and stuff that can be integrated, so like social integration within gaming, and that seems to be like a key thing he keeps putting emphasis on. But like you said, the fact that he's turning up at these film festivals and the fact that it could be more of an experience is maybe like edging towards, is it more of an interactive movie than a game? Because there's not, from what we've seen anyway, gameplay wise, there's not much gameplay. He has said there is gameplay to it, but from what we've seen in the 2 or 3 years it's been in development, we've only seen gameplay that suggests that you have limited stuff to do, and that leads it to me to be more of a interactive movie experience in a way, like a animated movie experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you actually said that, because looking through the actual the interview, I actually haven't listened to it. I plan to listen to that tomorrow while I'm actually on the train traveling to London. I'm going to listen to the entire like stage show, because I just want to just hear what he actually had to say. But I'm just going to point out a few key quotes and tidbits from the show, just talking about what Kojima actually said. So Kojima reiterated that Death Stranding is an open world action game, while emphasizing that it will bring something new to the genre. So what would you really interpret from this, Tom? Like, do you think that we could see some of the same problems with Metal Gear Solid 5, where it will be a little bit too vast and a little but empty. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think from, like, going back to what we just said then about the gameplay, from what we've seen from the gameplay, it looks vast but empty. New things I'd like is some sort of, if he is going the way of having some new element to an open world action adventure game, a social multiplayer element would be a very big step towards that. There's a big emphasis at the moment around Earth, and a lot of people sort of like preserving the Earth and making sure we look after it and working together. And I think if he somehow tied this game into that in a way, that would be quite a nice thing to do, because it would definitely pick up an audience that would be interested in something like that, or at least a mechanic that revolves around that.
It's weird that you're saying all these things, because he's literally, like, that is what the game is apparently about. It's about connecting people together. So it's actually funny you should actually say that, because Kojima then went on to say that both the gameplay and the story, connection will be the key. Everyone will be connected. And Kojima apparently was, like, really enthusiastic about this, meaning in, like, connection is the biggest, using the internet as a metaphor for the connection. He also said that he couldn't really say much more as not to conflict with publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment. As he said, and this is interesting, I don't want to be disconnected from Sony. Well, how do you take that? Because that seems a little bit odd that he would say, like, him saying something more about a game will mean him becoming disconnected from Sony. Like, is there, like, a deeper meaning behind that? Like, not like it's in conspiracy, but doesn't that sound a little bit kind of, like, dark? A little bit, like, what does he mean by that?
I wouldn't necessarily bring it around dark. I'd just say that he's probably under an NDA of some sorts. As we know, we've heard rumours of PS5 again in the last few weeks. A lot of leaks coming out about that, specs, details about that. Looking at a 2020 release is what we've seen. It's only rumours at the moment, but it's what we've seen.
We've said this time and time again. We thought 2020 is when the PlayStation 5. We even had sources a while ago suggesting that 2020 was going to be the PlayStation's release. So this is not really much of a shock to me. I knew the PlayStation was on its last legs from the time when they're cancelling services. You can kind of see where a console starts to end its life cycle, and where there's only now, like, 3 big PlayStation 4 titles left on their release cards. No more than that. Days Gone, which we will get into, because boy, did that release to...
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I just want to go back to the fact that, like you just said then, there's 4 big games, or 3 big games now left to be released. The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, and Death Stranding. Now, if they're going to come out towards the end of the console lifespan, and the rumours are that they're going to be remastered for the next console, is this a fact that they're going to do a joint release like we've suggested before? And the fact that he can't say anything is because he's under that NDA, and the whole PlayStation experience they're going to be doing instead of E3. Well, it's not an official PlayStation experience, but we think that they might host their own event. They're doing their digital things now as well.
What's good? It again, it's like you predicted it. It's funny you said that, because Kojima said we might see more of Death Stranding in a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
So that would easily line up with E3 around that time, where apparently all of the, the major companies are all going to have their own little E3 thing now. That, like, E3 is becoming less and less more of a consumer based place, rather than like a conference like area for just press. So these big corporations have now gone off and monopolized their own little live streams and stuff, because I guess it's probably even cheaper for them to do that, or they can somehow make some type of money from this. It gets a chance for just their platform to be focused on rather than E3 as a whole.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's better for the industry in general because there's less pressure on deadlines as such now. There's not like a set time where you have to have stuff to show off. You can show it off throughout the year when stuff's at a reasonable level. And that's good. But I do think that the reason we haven't heard anything is because it sounds like he's under an NDA. He can't release any information. Sony don't want him to. And that for me does actually bring positive sort of thoughts, because the fact that they're so protective over this game and the details of it and this new system they've got in place means they probably don't want to release any details too early, because it must, well, not that it must work well, but they think it might be a success. Now, if they offer that detail to someone else and they make a game in a shorter amount of time or to come out around the same time, as we see quite a lot with films and games, that sort of takes the market away from the one single game that's got that element to it.
But it's funny you should say that, but obviously some of these big studio vets and stuff like that wouldn't ever like dream of like copying Kojima's system. Maybe we might see some games in the future that might have systems that will be similar to his, just due to the fact that they've played this game in the past, and obviously they're under NDA not to say what was around about the game. As we heard, there's been a veteran developer, apparently a very well esteemed developer, that really disliked the game and said it was terrible and it would never work. So I wonder who that was. I wonder what company they worked for, and it would be very interesting to see what kind of games they make, because I can see a game like this because Kojima essentially is a Hollywood name of games. Like, yet he makes games that won't necessarily shine with the casual player. Yet his games always sell so well, just due to the fan base and how popular Metal Gear is as a name. Like, it is just a popular name. It's in pop culture. It's in films. It's in everything. Like, there's so many references to Metal Gear, Smash Bros, Snake's in there. Like, you can't really run away from Metal Gear and the imprint it has had on the industry. And maybe Kojima might actually have something with this game, and if it can be something that can be self-sustained for quite a long time by players, then we might have a new type of live service.
Well, I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head to the point there. Like, you've backed up sort of what I've just sort of said, that if someone else takes it or tries to create something similar, that could be the first of its type. And I think Sony want to release all this information at once, hopefully in the next month or two.
I think definitely the release window will be super short, like either a month later, or like the game is live now on like PlayStation Store and physicals are out next week or something weird. I just feel like that is what the kind of power Kojima has. Like, he did that with PT. They dropped the demo the same day. Like, it was, and then somebody completed it on the same day. It was quite insane. So maybe they would want something like that. Maybe they would, at E3, the game goes live and everyone could play, and we can see a live demonstration of players and whoever's playing on stage, or at what event it is.
That's interesting.
Who knows? Possibilities are endless with this game, because he's saying some really crazy things about how he's relating it to Brexit and he's relating it to the state of the world. And it's weird how you mentioned about connectivity and how everyone's trying to help each other, but also everyone's trying to also hurt each other at the same time. Like, it's a two-way system. Well, it is a two-way system, coming so much as like a one-way system as well.
Maybe the game has a two-way system.
Yeah, well, that's what he's suggesting, that if everyone's connected to each other, then the key is connection. Like, one person will have to do one thing, but then there might be another person who have to do another thing. Then, yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. We'll have to watch it. Like, as I said, nothing was said, but as Kojima always does, you read between the lines and a lot is said about the game. But I'm still not very happy with having a full scope and detail on the game, because, we're hearing a lot of people playing it, but we're not seeing it. And I know that's just me being like a salty fan. I'm allowed to be. I'm a consumer. I can do what I want. But like, yeah, I've been waiting a long time for him to have his own brand new game because he, let's be honest, Metal Gear Solid 5 wasn't his game, so this is his first game in a long time.
Well, I mean, while we're speaking about Sony, because I feel like we've covered most of what we know about Death Stranding now. We can jump into Days Gone, and you were just saying then that you thought that it was a flop, and I know a lot of reviewers are saying it's a flop. I actually watched.
I haven't actually played the game. I just said that. I've just heard like so many people keep saying, like, even like like Jim Sterling and Young, they've all said that the game just didn't. It's not like it was a flop. It just didn't live up to people's expectations. So now that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
a flop. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So we'll bring it back. Not a flop, but obviously didn't meet people's expectations. Now, I've actually watched. I watched like a hour and a half IGN live stream with I think it was Xavier Wolf, and they were playing the game, and to me it looked interesting.
Well, wait, Xavier Wolf?
No, probably not. Xavier Woods, the WWE.
I was thinking, I was just like, what was the Hollow Squad Don doing there, like the leader?
No, but shout out Hollow Squad.
Yeah, shout out Hollow Squad, definitely.
But yeah, it looked interesting. It didn't look like it veered too much away from the typical open world game. There were some interesting mechanics in there, but apparently it's quite repetitive. So me watching for like an hour, I probably didn't see that much of the repetitiveness. There seems to be elements of stealth to it. You can assess combat in a stealth or a all guns blazing way, sort of like you could do maybe in like a Far Cry game or something. And there's like bases that you have to take out. So it's got a similar feel to a Far Cry game, I'd say, with the zombie hordes added in, and then just some like mechanics to do with your bike. You have to fill up your bike's fuel and make sure you have enough fuel and stuff like that. So it's something a little bit different, but it probably doesn't move too much away from the formula that we know and works quite successful for open world games. But yeah, as we know, people always want more these days. The trouble is, I don't think this game was ever built up to be incredibly groundbreaking. It was just sort of a nice looking, well polished zombie game in an open world.
Yeah, I guess so. I do think that, yeah, a lot of people were expecting a lot more. And I remember when they did the whole big release for the PlayStation event, I also heard it's got a couple of technical issues, which is a little bit sad. Don't really, expect that from a first party PlayStation title. Maybe this just might be one of the ones that just didn't make it through. Just wasn't held maybe to the same esteem or anything like that as Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, and Death Stranding, and Last of Us and such. So I don't know. It is a shame. I do want to play it for myself though. Can we do co-op on it or anything like that? Or is it?
I don't think there's co-op.
But
while we are speaking about that, there's some interesting news that I saw just earlier, and that's that Days Gone 2. I think it's Days Gone. No, Days Gone is what we've just been speaking about.
Yeah, Days Gone.
Dying Light 2. My apologies.
Yeah.
Dying Light 2 will be appearing at E3 this year. So that game is still being worked on, and if it has multiplayer like the first game did and follows this new narrative storyline with choices that affect the world, it could look to be an interesting game and possibly one of the best co-op games, if it's co-op, to come out within the next year. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that for when it does come around.
Yeah,
E3.
that Dying Light 2 was really interesting, and let's just hope that like what we've seen from the game previously is still going to be in the game, because I'm getting really sick of like games coming out with mission functionality and like really, really big things that they showed off in their first initial, showing of the game. Just don't do that to players. Not now. Not when we have the internet and we can look back at trailers and be like, you know what? You actually bamboozled all of us. Like, we need to like start getting in on these companies, because as we can see, we don't even talk about Anthem now anymore, but like that's getting even more worse. Like their roadmap is delayed, the DLC's delayed. They had their first patch go out and then live stream the patch and say that was their update for the game. It's a real shit show over there. I think their player base is down 50%. It's just not good over there. EA definitely has lost a lot of money out. It might take a while for them to reclaim that back. Definitely, they're going to be throwing out a ton of free stuff. That's just what they do when they mess up. So, I'll be keeping a real, just a little eye on Anthem still, just to see what happens.
Yeah, I want to just sort of talk about this while you're talking about EA, because I've not played Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new one, but this was an article on Kotaku yesterday, and about 17 months after the game has come out, Yoda can now block. That's nearly a year and a half after the game come out that a crucial feature has been given to a character, which doesn't really seem to me like that was value for money for customers. Especially, I mean, we all know what happened when Battlefront 2 came out anyway. The microtransactions were insanely bad and just stopped the game from actually being playable to a point. But now the fact that Yoda and Darth Maul have been updated to allow for blocking, and it's a pretty core mechanic of a Jedi in a game that you would want using a lightsaber is the ability to block.
It's just stupid because everyone else could block. Like, Luke Skywalker could block, Obi-Wan Kenobi could block, but Yoda couldn't block. He taught them. How does that make sense? Like, how does that make sense?
I don't really understand, but I mean...
No. This is what was written. This is what I've written. Do you know how pissed I've already been? After much discussion and tweaking. Whoa, wait. What do you mean much discussion? Anyway, I'm going to carry on. After much discussion and tweaking, as well as a healthy amount of player feedback, we've added blocking for Yoda and Darth Maul with an exclamation mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. After much discussion, Tom. Apparently this took a lot of discussion.
Yeah, it
took a lot of tweak. It took a lot of tweaking as well. Apparently,
didn't really require a lot of discussion. It for me, pivotal game mechanic that should have been in from the start, or at least on a day one patch, not a year and a half later. But enough about EA, because we talk about EA a lot, and everyone talks about EA a lot, and they probably don't deserve any publicity really for the stuff they're putting out. We talked a lot about their new upcoming Star Wars game last week anyway, but I'm going to go in for Overwatch releasing a workshop now. Now, I'm not a big Overwatch player. I watch Overwatch esports every now and then, but you've played Overwatch a fair amount. What are your opinions on this? Having a workshop added?
I think it's crazy. Like I think this just will just allow for Overwatch to now become even more sustainable, like even more self-sustainable. Like, you won't really have to keep adding content to the game because other players would just do it for you. Like, imagine like a battle mode that you create gets so popular, and then you can just implement, and then it's just getting implemented into the game, and that's your battle mode now. Like, this has happened before with like Team Fortress and like other games like that, which allowed for customization, and then allowed to basically, have your own game map and stuff like that, and have your own game mode. You can also have third person mode as well within this workshop, and a top down version as well. So just think about the possibilities are endless for things like this. So yeah, this is really cool. So somebody's made an RPG in there, like that's just crazy.
It's interesting. I don't know if they've brought this to consoles or not. Do you know the full details on this? Have they brought it to consoles?
No, they haven't brought it to consoles yet. I think that's probably going to be quite a task, just due to like mainly whether this is mods or not. But I think you can have custom games and stuff like that on the PS4 and stuff. So I think it's pretty free over there because it runs off Blizzard. So as long as Blizzard's doing everything, like I think it should be fine.
And
hopefully,
go on.
I said hopefully it gets on there. Hopefully it comes to console. If not, I'll just get the PC version now. I'll just use it on there instead.
Well, I mean, like it's an interesting thing because obviously console mods coming to console has been a massive debate for the last few years now, and this could possibly, if it does come to console, be the first thing that's like a successful way of doing that. Not paid mods, but it could be a way of allowing people to create content cross-platform. We know cross-platform works now. And this could be the start of cross-platform mods if they can get a system working, which I personally think would be a really interesting thing, a really cool thing for games in general and the industry in general, because it takes a little bit of pressure off developers, but also, and it's a thing that I'm a real big sort of, I can't think of the word, but sort of like something that I really enjoy is being creative, and I'm a big fan of allowing people to be as creative as possible, especially within video games, and sharing that with other people so they can enjoy the same experience. Yeah, we've seen a lot of games like that now come into fruition. With like Super Mario Maker was quite popular, and Planet Coaster was also like one of the biggest selling games on Steam quite recently, and also Minecraft, stuff like that, where people make creations and share them. So it's definitely a thing that people want, and I think it's definitely a thing that would work wonders for the industry if done correctly.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, people start to say like, oh, what happens, like regulation and things like that, making sure like things are like cool. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, that's up to Blizzard to regulate things, and hopefully they've got something in place to make sure fucked up like game modes and stuff like that ain't coming out on their platform. But who knows? Everyone figures out a way to do whatever they like in it. So can't win them all.
While we're talking about games that have implemented like a custom mode, or like a level editor, you could say, for some, like a level editor, we'll say for now, or mods. Fortnite released their sort of version of that towards the end of last year, start of this year, and there's some news that's come out this week regarding the actual crunch behind the success that led to Fortnite. It's interesting to think that game required much crunch, but realistically, when you think about it, the Battle Royale mode, the popular thing it's known for, was put in very late on in development, due to the fact that it was a ever increasingly popular game mode in the current market.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at this entire article, and it's quite fucked up. Like, if I'm being frank, like it just goes to show, like, because we were going to talk about what Epic said, but then when I sent this, I thought, well, how could Epic really try and say that Steam needs to pay devs better cuts on games and try and be for the people, but you're doing this to the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, as I said, none of these companies really give a shit about anyone. They don't give a shit about their workers. They don't really give a shit about the consumer. They only give a shit about the investors at the top and themselves and the execs. That's all that they just care about themselves. Like, it's just, everything is just money, money, money. Like, nobody's wondering about people's mental health or, you know, how it could be affecting their their home life and how it can be, you know, boiling over into, you know, their social circles and, you know, creating real life issues that can wear on a person for, you know, years or will never ever leave them for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I just think it's just, you know, it's just horrible.
It is due to the fact that it's a ever-evolving industry, as we always say, and just the fact that it's so fast-moving that you have to be on that sort of idea straight away. And if someone else does it, you have to rush to get the idea out because that's what the people at the top want, to make them the most amount of money. Which, it does make sense. However, the fact that people are being put through conditions where they're having to work overtime, and it's not been going on for just a few years, it's been going on for a long time. There's reports back when Red Dead Redemption, the first Red Dead Redemption, was being made, that I recently wrote about for one of my university reports, where many anonymous employees were said to have done up to 100-hour weeks and were suffering from health issues, the same as what's sort of been reported here. And the same thing again that was reported was the fact that they were working overtime, although officially it was classed as voluntary overtime, because they have expiry dates on their contracts. They're basically working to make sure that they could get that contract renewed to keep employment.
Wow.
So basically, they don't have to work it, but they feel the pressure that if they don't work it, they might not have a job. So that's the pressure at the moment within the industry, that there's something there that needs to be sorted around that, whether it's giving people longer contracts or unionizing so people can't do something like that, or just changing the rights of stuff so that's not a thing in the industry. It'll definitely help going into the future because, you know, crunch time is expected in development. It's a thing that happens. You're not expected to work stupid amount of over hours, but it is written in many contracts that you know, may have to work some overtime every now and then, which is fine if you've got to rush something out or there's a bug that's breaking something and you have to fix it. It makes sense. But things like 70 or 100-hour weeks where you're just doing it because you are scared to lose your job, even if you're getting paid overtime, which apparently some Epic Games employees were, even if you're getting paid that overtime, it's still an unreasonable amount to work for that week, because you don't know if that's going to cost you your job or not by not doing it.
Exactly. It's this, and as you said, it's just this fear of losing a job. And we're going to get out of here soon because I feel like we talk about Epic a lot, but we also do need to, like, you know, start. I like exposing the game industry for what it is, because this is the kind of shit that's instilled, and some of the stuff it's just not a nice. You think making games would be great and being creative will be great, but it's not most of the time. It's a big pressure. And one guy said, one employee, should I say, said it's a hard, grindy, crunchy life. Everyone understands you are being paid more money than most people will ever make in their careers anywhere else. Your time is bought and accounted for. Shut up, keep your head down and do the work.
Which, to me, well, to anyone, does not sound very welcoming or enjoyable for your everyday job.
Yeah.
Especially when these people are very skilled workers that have probably worked hard to get to the position they're in. And they've done it for the fact of having a passion for gaming to try and improve the industry. Unfortunately, it's what it is. the industry is still very early on. I know it's like nearly around 50 years old now, but that's still quite new for an industry that's ever changing constantly all the time as well. Because, like we've seen recently, the way that games have transitioned from being paid products with DLC to now being sort of freemium models or free-to-play models, because that earns more money and gives the developers constant input, especially for a constantly online service. That is a hard thing to talk about, but something does have to be changed somewhere to improve quality of life for developers. And if that means publishers taking less of a cut, then, it means publishers taking less of a cut. If it means getting a game out later, it means getting a game out later. But something does need to happen to ensure that they don't keep this as a standard across the industry.
Yeah, I understand. It just all just seems a bit like bleak. Like the future of like the industry is just not getting better, and unions aren't happening fast enough, and more and more stories come out every week about how crunch hours, and even Mortal Kombat apparently had some really horrific crunch hours in order to get that game finished. And we heard about all of that and how Mortal Kombat is riddled with like micro transactions and grind wars and all sorts of terrible things. And I just think to myself, just for what? Like, you had your developers slave like blood, sweat and tears over this one game, and then now you're going to block it all behind a wall. Like, can't you just let the players like unlock it in a reasonable way like the previous games? Now why have you brought it so you can, I think to unlock the full amount of everything to buy, someone like estimated it at like $6,000, and then Ed Boon, who's like the creator of Mortal Kombat, tried to say like, oh, that's not true. Lots of people tried to come out and say that's not true, but if you individually wanted to buy everything, I think it's going to be about that amount of money.
That's it's not acceptable. It's not.
It's just not, is it? It's fucked.
No one should spend that amount of money on it.
Let me just check how much grind you have to do to unlock everything in Mortal Kombat, because I know people try and say like, oh, you should just get better at games like and grind, but no, like why? Like nobody has that amount of time. And like, first and foremost, if you're supposed to be over 18, not gonna lie, you should have some responsibilities or something. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think if you don't have any responsibilities, then what am I supposed to do with this game? How am I supposed to grind that many hours in a game?
I think that is the trouble though. The trouble is that people aren't willing to grind anymore because they don't have the time. Because games, they are now designed in a way where you have to grind a longer amount of time than you would have previously, and people don't have the time for that. So they're designed in a way that you grind to a certain degree and then pay for extra content because you don't want to grind that much. But it's a design flaw, in my opinion. The loot box issue has been sussed out. It's slowly improving. We're slowly getting away from that. However, Mortal Kombat 11, obviously a new release, the fact that it's got slated for it, I think justifies the fact that it's going to start moving away from that even more now, because people have realised, especially like people that are making the games up the top, they've realised, consumers aren't that dumb. They're not going to keep doing this. So you have to either ruin a franchise by doing it, or don't ruin a franchise and just stick to sort of traditional DLC methods or something. Or, you could do something like Fortnite have done, where they get sponsored. I'm guessing Tom, it's sponsored.
Tom, hear about this. This is horrible. Sorry to just cut you off. Yeah, so apparently, like, if you cycle through the shop Now the shop like resets or something like that. Something weird. Apparently, there's only 3 skins available in the store every 24 hours, and there's 56 skins for 24 characters. And if you don't have Shao Kahn, so that's 1,344 skins. Assuming that the store cycled through every available skin 3 at a time per day, it would take you 448 days to cycle through everything.
Yeah.
That's more than a year.
It's nearly a year and a half. And just as well to point out the fact that it's commonly known people don't play games for that long amount, because it's quite a saturated market now. People don't have the time to play a singular game for that amount of time, especially in something like the fighting game genre. There's many other fighting games that will come out during that time, and as soon as a new one comes out, people will tend to buy it if they like that genre and play it, and if they prefer that one, then they'll just stop playing the other one. So you're definitely not getting your money's worth by buying that game. I mean, the game looks good. I don't want to say the game doesn't look good, but in my opinion,
it's just RNG. Like, as I said, like, I'm looking in the comments and people are just talking about, people don't know what the fuck they want except something to bitch about. Like, that should be written on our generation's tombstone. And I'm thinking, not really, because this is not what anybody really wanted. Nobody wanted to unlock things this way. Nobody wants random RNG and 448 days of grinding loot boxes to get skins and stuff. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants that. Like, no one's ever wanted that.
Should also point out, the best way to combat this, which people don't do, don't write shitty reviews after you've bought the game. Just don't buy the game. The more you buy stuff and fund it, they're going to keep doing it because you're still buying it. Just if you don't buy the game, then they don't get the income. And then they'll realise that, you know, how can they make money off microtransactions if no one buys the game? They can't. Or they make it a freemium model, which might work. But at that point, you get the chance to play the game and grind if you want to, but you're not having to pay up front to then pay extra content that should be included in the game.
Yeah, like all of the cool costumes and stuff like that. Like, I wanted all of that shit. Like, and now I'm gonna have to like grind. I can't believe it's RNG. Like, you're up against, like, you can't. Yeah, I thought you could at least get coins or something. Like, no, like, you literally have luck of the draw when it comes to certain things in the game. Like, certain things you can buy and certain things you just have luck of the draw, and sometimes luck of the draw is just a piss take. So like, I ain't accepting that. So,
well, I just want to go back to the point I was making just before about Fortnite. Then as well, just quickly gloss over it because I don't think there's much to it. Obviously, I think they must have like some sort of sponsorship deal with Disney or Marvel. We've seen last time Avengers came out, Infinity War, that they had Thanos in the game. This is the same this time round. Fortnite Endgame, you now have one team playing as Chitauri Warriors, and then the first player on that team to find an Infinity Stone turns into Thanos. And the other side has the event can pick up Avengers weapons, so they can pick up things like Iron Man's repulsors, Thor's axe, and Captain America's shield as well. So it's a nice little tie-in to a big franchise. If Fortnite got paid for that, and that allows them to not have to, I mean, it's a freemium game anyway, but not have to try and force sort of purchases on people. You know, this content's given for free as a free thing because it's sponsored, I'm guessing, so they get paid for it and don't have to charge for it. If people can do that, it's a little bit more acceptable, but the whole Mortal Kombat 11 thing with microtransactions, in my opinion, just don't buy the game. You know, it looks good, but if that's how they're going to treat customers and that's how they're going to monetize it, don't buy it. There's just one more thing we probably have time for in the gaming section that I just want to quickly talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
So something that's quite, well, I wouldn't say dear to my heart. That's a bit too close, but
it actually is though. Like, come on now, you're like one of the biggest like tycoon fans I've ever known.
But yeah, if you're a fan of management simulation tycoon style games, and if you're a big fan of Zoo Tycoon, you know, a really good game back in the day, then Frontier, a great developer from the UK, is going to be releasing a game in fall of this year called Planet Zoo. Now, they've released games previously such as Planet Coaster, if you've played that, and Jurassic World Evolution. They've also had a chance to work on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 in the past, and they also made the Zoo Tycoon game for Xbox One. So they have experience in making games like this and believable animals. This game, the details coming out around it look really exciting. It's built off the back of Planet Coaster, so it's got a lot of customization options, piece by piece building, if that's your sort of thing. Really good working terrain tools and pathing tools for you to build your park, and also the fact that they've gone in detail on this and actually got biological researchers from the University of Cambridge to come in and help them with reports on every single animal they're doing and how they eat, how they act, how they move in herds, or how they maybe want to be alone, is a really sort of interesting thing. They also put like a big emphasis on this as well, is that they want to try and talk about conservation of wildlife as much as they can, try and educate people as well as educating guests within the game through management, and also just sort of like teach people how you can breed animals and then let them go back into the wild, which you can do within the game. There's also a thing, yes, cool. There's also a thing where they have like a genome system for breeding, so every animal has slightly different markings, and every animal carries traits down from their parents. And if you do inbreed, which obviously is sometimes a thing that has to happen if animals are going extinct in zoos, then you will see repercussions of that in the game as well. So if you do inbreed, you will start to see like slight things that don't necessarily, I can't really think of a word to say it, but basically if you inbreed the animals, then you're going to lose out from it in the long term, because there'll be defects that happen, such as them not being able to breed in the future. So you have to sort of manage it quite carefully. It looks like they've really put more focus on management than creativity this time, which is a really good thing. And if you want to just Google it, if you're interested in the game, you could look at the animal models that are created so far, and they're very realistic and like very good models. So I just want to say, like, shout out to that. If you're interested in that sort of game, a Zoo Tycoon style game is coming back. It's definitely going to be good. I can tell you that. I follow it quite closely, and I can say that this will be a good game. It probably won't be the best game you'll ever play, because that's quite hard to do, but it'll definitely be a very good modern tycoon game with all the details that are needed.
Yeah, Dave Tom says it's going to be pretty good. He's the man to know about simulators and stuff, so it's probably going to be really good. It looks all right. As I said, but when we were talking, like privately, I was saying how I wasn't really like too interested in it, but now they've like explained some of the deeper features of it. It sounds pretty detailed and it sounds pretty good, so I'm going to definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm. It should be known as well that they do monetize their game in the form of DLC. So there's no in-app purchases or anything, but there is content packs that you have to buy. But I think that's fine. I think that's a good development method for a relatively small development company. You know. Well,
yeah, Frontier is small, and I know they pay attention to detail with updating their game, so that like there's no problems with games like that. It's when you're paying like £60 for like a AAA game by like a massive developer and you're getting a bag of shit like Anthem. So yeah, this was when the problems start occurring. But yeah, apart from that though, yeah, I am looking forward to it. We're just going to move on to the film and TV section. As Tom said at the beginning, not too much to really get into here. We're probably just going to have some loose conversations about a couple topics that we've seen over the past 2 weeks. I'm just going to kick off with a remake of a show that I used to watch on Channel 4. It had 2 seasons. It was amazing. Did you watch Utopia?
I watched a little bit of it, but I've not watched it in as much detail as you did.
Oh man, it's too hard. Yeah, Utopia was amazing. Without giving too much away, because I can't really explain anything without giving it away. It's just a really mysterious TV. Like it's like based upon a manuscript that is found that essentially details out the last days of the world, or like basically really, really terrifying and shocking things will happen. And this manuscript has been detailing everything so far. It's just super crazy. Definitely watch the Channel 4 one. It has great use of color in it and great use of like shots and compositions and all sorts. It's just shot so brilliantly. It got cancelled though by Channel 4, but a US remake was in talks and in the works for a while. And David Fincher, I think was trying to get on board with it, but he couldn't in the end. So Amazon managed to get it and got the Gone Girl writer Gillian Flynn as the writer and the developer of the new show. So I'm expecting some cool stuff. Hopefully it will stick to the original quite closely, because the original was really good. So
I prefer David Fincher to be working on this than Gillian Flynn. I've watched Gone Girl, which I thought was a really good film. I've also read the book of Gone Girl, which I didn't think was a great book. So I would be a bit skeptical about this and wouldn't put your hopes too high.
I didn't think Gone Girl was that bad. I thought Gone Girl was okay.
The book or the film though?
Oh no, I thought the film was good.
The film was good. I haven't read the book was not that good.
Oh, so is this like the writer then? Like
yes, Gillian Flynn's the author of Gone Girl.
No one was really asking.
So
no one was really asking them to actually personally write a TV show.
It depends what team is put behind it, but I wouldn't go in sort of all hopes high. I'd probably be a bit skeptical about it. David Fincher for me is I'd be more hopeful of, but Gillian Flynn I'd be skeptical. It could be good, but I would be skeptical because it's not really, I wouldn't say it's really something that fits. It's not in the same style of Gone Girl, really.
Yeah, it's very much. I don't know how to explain it. It's very contemporary. Like it's not a very. It's not an ordinary program to watch. I remember even the advertisements for it were quite odd. So I don't know how they're going to do it. The American remake needs to live up to the same amount of like, I don't know what to call it. I would say like not avant-garde, but like it was kind of like there was just something striking about the entire thing that like it was just like I couldn't stop watching it. It was just a really weird sensation.
I will say though that Gillian Flynn did help make HBO Sharp Objects, which is another book that she wrote, and apparently that was quite good. So, I mean, that was a little bit more freaky, I think, but it got some really good reviews when it was coming out. So, she does have a bit of experience in doing TV like that. So it might be a good decision. But I'd also still be a bit skeptical.
Let's just hope. So we're just going to move on as well from that. Go watch Utopia if you haven't watched it already. It's a Channel 4. If you're in America, just go find that allegedly somewhere. I think you can maybe view Channel 4 in a way, or maybe Utopia has been picked up by one of the streaming services internationally. So if you can't find it on there, then I don't know, use a VPN or something. Endgame broke international box office records with 169 million. I don't really have much else to say about it than I kind of expected this. What are you thinking?
What I think was expected. You know, it's possibly one of the biggest movie. Well, possibly is the biggest movie release of the last century, you could say.
Actually, did you think it was going to get to this point?
What, with Marvel in general?
Yeah, when we first started seeing, when Iron Man and, Captain America came out, I honestly did not see it getting to this peak of popularity. People were still, clowning, people for, watching, superhero films, and now everyone and, their girlfriend, their mom, everyone goes to watch it like it's a major event. I don't really understand when did it become cool? I don't know.
Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's the Disney effect.
No, it's not the Disney effect.
It's the Disney effect.
No, it's not the Disney effect. Yeah, how can it be the Disney effect?
It's the Disney effect. Since Disney bought Marvel, they've gone from strength to strength in making superhero movies. But I mean, I think they did have a plan for this all along, but I think they started off slow just to make sure that if it didn't work out, they could just say, "Oh, they're standalone movies." It's good though. I like the fact that it's now a commonplace thing. Although, what I will say is, I don't like the fact everyone keeps fucking spoiling it on the internet. Please stop doing that. It's not funny. And it doesn't make you a cool person. All it does is ruins the experience for everyone else.
It's funny you should actually say that, because I actually haven't seen any kind of spoilers anywhere, so I just don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happened in the film. I'm just fine with me.
I haven't seen any spoilers. I've tried to avoid as much as I can, but I've heard of a lot of spoilers just being told to people. I seen a thing the other day on Reddit where someone just went on a random YouTube video and commented the whole story of Avengers Endgame. I didn't see it; it was all blocked out. But someone did that and ruined it for thousands, if not millions, of people.
That's terrible. That's actually really fucked up.
And it's also coming off the back of the fact the directors released a statement saying they didn't want anyone to spoil it following the leaks as well a few weeks ago. But all you're doing by spoiling something like that is not only spoiling the experience for the consumer, but also spoiling all the hard work and effort that's been put into that by the actors, the directors, the producers, the costume people, the makeup people, everyone, the film crew, everyone that worked on that film has just had that whole film ruined. People's experience is ruined, and people aren't going to enjoy it the same way because I'm going to say kid. I'm not sure if it was a kid. I'm guessing it's a kid. Some little kid.
Probably not even a kid,
Some brat decided that they were just going to spoil it for the sake of having some fun. But
it's just why I just don't like going outside. I don't like people. That's a lie. I like my friends. I like my family, and my girlfriend. But I don't like people though in general. Because they just do shit like this. It's not fair. There's people that probably would have been crushed by that information. Me, it won't affect me so much, but I'll probably be a little bit pissed off. But there's some people that are super fans, that'd be fucking crushed by that. That's just sad. I just can't see why. Where would you get Like, people just get thrills out of shit like that, man. This is weird. You're weird, and you need help.
It's trolling in modern trolling is just.
I would say modern day trolling is stupid. Like, it gets too, like, some of the shit that I see here is just too far, way too far. Like, you know, it's come a long way from a Rickroll. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I still get Rickrolled every now and then. It's a nice experience.
It's actually kind of funny when you get Rickrolled still, like, in this... Like, I'm like, that's a little bit ironic. Like, I'm getting Rickrolled in 2019, and I kind of enjoy it. Like, I start singing along to it.
Maybe that's just showing your age. I think that's what it is.
I'm just like, the kids these days, they're still at it. Oh, shit.
We've veered right off topic there. But
yeah, I know. Let's, what else we... You know what, the film and TV section is a huge mess. I'm just going to say this by now, so let's just talk about whatever we want.
I want to talk about Dune. A new Dune adaptation.
Have you watched Dune, like the original Dune?
I have not watched Dune, the original Dune.
Well, I
don't know if I plan to watch it either.
No, you should watch. It's David Lynch who did it. So. Yeah,
but it's also one of his worst directed credits ever.
Whoa, buddy. Relax yourself.
He himself refuses to talk about it.
Don't listen to David Lynch. I just watched fucking Highway Lost or Lost Highway yesterday, yeah. That was some of the worst cinema I've ever seen. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Well, I mean, Twin Peaks is good. I like Twin Peaks.
Oh, obviously, okay, Twin Peaks is classic. But I watched I watched Lost Highway or whatever it's called yesterday, and it was just really odd. Okay, I wouldn't say it was one of the worst pieces of cinema because it had some really brilliant scenes throughout it, which I thought was
that's what he's
so
known
sick.
For, though.
Yeah, I thought it was so sick of the way how he did certain things. Like, there's like this scene with like a guy who's like at their house, but he's not at their house at the same time, and he's on the phone, and it's just so fucking unsettling because you don't know what's going on. Like, you just have no idea why this person is here, or why is he at the house, but he's also talking to you at the same time. Is this supernatural? Is it real life? Is there a twin? It's so weird. It made me feel weird. Like when I was watching the scene.
Mm-hmm. But you've never really seen like all of Twin Peaks, have you?
Nah, I've never really seen all of Twin Peaks. Just heard a lot about it. Seen a lot of like the references that have been used throughout, like, I don't know, like most modern horror and modern like cinema, and the way how like it's been implemented into essentially so many shots and things like that, and like tropes and stuff have been like implemented into nearly everything. So
I'd
his
say
influence
that
is undeniable.
His directing style, or just general style, is very fucking weird, to put it nicely or bluntly. It's just weird. Everything he does is quite weird.
You need to watch that Lost Highway, because I think you would enjoy it weirdly, but also think, wow, that film was really fucking weird and kind of trash towards the end. But it was kind of good though. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's like Twin Peaks though. Twin
so
Peaks
weird.
It's more of like a, I don't know what the word is. You know, when something is like just looked upon as being good, but it's not.
But it's not
that good.
It's it's kind of a little bit like, even though we love Freaks and Geeks, like, we love that show. But a lot of people say that show's really bad. But we think it's great. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a cult classic. That's what he does. David Lynch makes cult classics. He makes so many. Dune is a cult classic. That is a cult classic. Lost Highway is a cult classic. Mulholland Drive is a cult classic. There's like so many films that he's done that are just cult classic. Even Twin Peaks is like a cool
It is a cult classic.
Yeah, like, that people like to like, oh, I watched Twin Peaks. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, so... It's going to be interesting to see this reboot, because I know the reboot is being done by the guy who did Blade Runner.
That's interesting.
I think.
Yeah, I feel like that suits Dune more than David Lynch would. But, you know, I just want to back up the point that, you know, I don't think Twin Peaks is awful. I think it's a really good show, and I enjoy it. but it's one of those ones where you watch it and think, like you've just said, you watch something by David Lynch, you go, it's really good, and you appreciate it, and then you're like, but is it? I don't know. Like, but I sort of like that about his art. But back to sort of Dune, I think it's good that someone's taking this and actually doing like a possibly proper sci-fi thing with it, rather than trying to like put their own twist on it.
Well, like, Dune has been like, people have been trying to make Dune for years now, and they've never ever got it right, because the books are like insanely detailed and have so much fucking lore to it that you can't even really, like, not follow it, but you can't. You know, there's one of those kind of like mediums that you can't really translate over into a film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just isn't viable. Like, it's just, I'm trying to think of a film that's like that, dude. I know we've watched a few. Oh, like, just terrible films that we just thought, why was this made?
There's many terrible films. Why they were made?
Oh man, we've watched
Jack
so
and Jill.
many bad films. Oh man. Why was that made? Why Adam? Why?
No, there's a lot of films that are made like that now. Mainly sort of jumping off the success of other films of the same genre around the same time.
Well, either way, Dune's gonna have a second film already, which is really kind of gutsy, given that Dune has never really gone over very well with the mainstream audience. So
it's positive. I mean, I don't mind them doing that if they've got enough money to chuck behind something and say, "Fuck it, we'll do 3 films," like, and we'll stick to it. If it does bad, we're just going to stick to it.
Well, here's the kicker, though, Tom. So the first film will cover first half of the book, and the second film will cover the second half of the book. So now, if we're going to carry on doing all the Dune books, we might have a problem. So,
well, I mean, it's just creating a franchise, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is creating a franchise, but at the same time, I just don't know if, like, Dune would be, like, the one to kind of, like, hook people in. But then again, I've been wrong, so...
I don't care if it doesn't get mainstream audiences. I'm just, as a sci-fi fan, interested to have another sci-fi thing. Especially the fact that Star Wars is... They're stopping making Star Wars films for a little while again now as well. Like, it would be nice to have something else there. Just sort of, it's not directly the same at all, but just another sci-fi, more traditional sci-fi as well. You know, I feel like there's not been something like that for a while now. A franchise of traditional sci-fi. Star Trek. Okay, I know people are going to say that, but
well,
apart from Star Trek.
Well, currently, Dune is still ongoing, being currently still written and updated. So, so far there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 pieces of Dune, like, text that's been, like, developed over this time. Whether that be short stories or, like, full books, that is the amount of text. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different periods that Dune is, like, has been written in, which is, like, 15,000 years in total, all with their different, like, political, social, and religious structures.
Mm-hmm. And that's
insanely detailed. I just don't really know how they could translate such a monumental piece of media over into a film. It's crazy. They're going to have to rethink the entire thing.
Yeah, well, that's our educational section done, where we learn how to count to 31. But it's interesting. We'll see what comes of it. If we hear any updates, we'll let you know. Other things, there's like some things we could talk about. the Hateful Eight obviously being split up into 4 50-minute episodes, I feel like that's something that we definitely want to talk about.
Yeah, because I'm gonna keep it like real. Netflix better not start doing this with certain films, like trying to make them into like series. Like I don't want that to happen.
It's not really a series. It's just sort of splitting the film up into four
but
parts.
this is the thing though. The actual extended version of the film is no longer on Netflix now. Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like that's why everyone was like, "Why has Netflix done this?"
It's interesting. Although it might be because they're currently working on like new features and stuff. But also it does allow you to watch a film halfway through and then pick it up later on.
Yeah, I think
if it's so long like that.
I think that's what they're trying to get at, but really, if anything, why not just make like designated points of reference within a film? Well, surely that would be a better feature.
But maybe they don't have the ability to do that with their current system. Maybe that's why it's down as a season, because they only have seasons or films. Maybe that's sort of like their system. It doesn't seem like they're going to be doing it to lots of stuff. It just seems like they're sort of...
That's what I thought. I thought it was a little bit weird and strange, and I didn't want to mention this company, but it's still distributed by the Weinstein Company, so I thought maybe it's because it might have to do something to do with that. Maybe I don't know. It could be anything. Hollywood is a crazy place. So
it could even be a Tarantino decision that he wants the extended cut to be a 4-part thing.
Well, that's what we was thinking. Like,
I'd expect him to come out and say something though.
I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, like I don't know if it's like a detail like that, like Tarantino wanted to like put in there, but in comparison to the other cut of the film, not much has really been added to the film to make it significant into like an extended edition. So people were just kind of like a little bit miffed by why this has been done, but we'll keep an eye on to see if Netflix does this to anything else, and if so, I wonder what the reason why. This has to be linked to something else.
It might be just to up their play rate to Disney and Apple's new services or something like that. Yeah. Statistics wise, it would look better.
That's true. Well, I watched a YouTube video saying that Netflix could be in a really bad position by next year. So we'll just have to keep an eye on Netflix.
I think it's doubtful, but
I think it's doubtful as well. But because they have some of the biggest shows of like ever now, like on their platform. Like they have Stranger Things. They could make spin-offs of that forever and probably still gain popularity of it. So you got to really think like they hold some really powerful IPs over there. Disney do, but you know, as I said, that also gets a little bit dangerous. Like Disney and their monopoly with Fox and everything. Like there, a lot of people have been talking about how.
By the way, I just want to point this out because everyone says it all the time. It's not a monopoly; it's a conglomerate.
All right. How much is Disney paying you, Tom?
No, because a monopoly means that you have exclusive reign over an industry, whereas a conglomerate is just a collection of things that cover so many industries, but they're not exclusively in every industry they're in. There's other people in the same industry.
It's true, but
there's just a lot of big conglomerates now.
I was going to say, yeah, but when you get to a point where your streaming service is now, what they're playing with isn't features. What everyone is battling against each other with is with exclusivity. Now, Disney will have exclusive rights to so many things that people would want to have access to, and it's only going to get more and more exclusive and more locked away. behind all of these different streaming services until there's going to be a point where you're going to have Netflix only for like a certain amount of things. It's already getting to that kind of point anyway. You can have Amazon for one key show you want to watch on there, and then you're going to need to have a HBO Go, and then you're going to need to have this show and that, and hopefully there's going to be some type of like law passed that exclusivity is like banned, just like, you know, how the streaming services, Apple Music and everything, you're not allowed to have exclusive albums on platforms anymore. So
I doubt that's going to be the case, though, because
I doubt that's going to be the case as well. But that would be the only thing that could sort that kind of out.
The difference between music streaming services and TV streaming services here, which links quite well to the music section anyway, that's, you know, coming up soon. The difference is the music services don't create the content, so they don't own it. Whereas the streaming services, if they create the content, they can exclusively own it. They're not breaking any laws, and there's nothing to stop anyone from putting a law in place to stop that. Because it's always been the case, if a TV channel creates their own show, HBO, for example, HBO create Game of Thrones, it's exclusive to them, and then they license it out to other people.
Yeah.
They don't allow other people to have it, they license it out to other people. Now, if there's a thing that allows people to license stuff out, and they have to do that, then maybe. But I don't see it being a thing, because the exclusivity is really a key part of the film industry and always has been, really.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's going to be the next biggest fight, is people are going to start buying up exclusivities on certain streaming services. And I'm not saying this is where Disney might fall short, but I don't think they will, because they have too many things going on over there. But
they have Star Wars and Marvel. Exactly.
But I'm already hearing the gripes with certain fan bases moaning that they won't go and get the Disney streaming service to go and see those shows. As I said, I always say we'll see as well, because, you know, I'm personally not going to get the Disney streaming service because I don't personally need it. I don't personally want to have it. Like, I'll do the trial, but I'm not really that pressed to watch Disney films, like, or the TV series. And I have my own means, so we'll say that. That's all we'll say. If I need to see it, I'll see it.
I'll get it. If Netflix are raising their prices and Disney are charging $5.99 a month, then
fair enough. Fair enough.
Especially when they're going to be creating first-party important series that revolve around very big franchises that, you know, I'm quite invested in, then for me it's a good deal. Like,
I'm gonna say, I will see what Disney do. I'll see how many TV shows they have. Well, I can only watch so many superhero shits in it. Like, I don't really, you know, like, I can only watch so many of those type of programs. Like, I wouldn't get a so dedicated.
You get Nat Geo,
but I don't need Nat. I don't need Nat Geo when I can watch, you know, like Planet Earth and stuff like that on BBC, and I can watch Our Planet on Netflix, and there's a bunch of nature shows on there that I can already watch, and on Amazon as well. And I also have Nat Geo on my TV. Like, so, like, I don't really need to watch Nat Geo on there. Like, it's just not a necessary, like, thing for me. But as I said, I don't think the audience isn't really me. So
the audience isn't really us.
They're gonna try and make it. They're gonna try and make it work for everyone, because that's what their aim is, to be to cover all bases. That's why they've got Hulu as well. That's a very important thing to have. So they're trying to cover everyone.
Once they bring that to the UK, they do a package deal, because I want them to do a package deal, because otherwise I'm not sure, but they should do a package deal. If they're listening, they should do a package deal.
They probably won't, but...
Well, if they are listening, they should do a package deal. And then...
I'm going to remember this still. You know, I remember exactly like which show it was and everything, yeah. You wanted to do a package deal. They're not going to do a package deal. Not for a while. They're going to make people buy that service separately.
Hulu has some very good exclusives that are very good, and then all the Fox stuff that's over 18 will also go to that service as well. But I feel that Disney have got enough on their own service, especially considering The Simpsons is on there from day one as well, all The Simpsons. So
yeah, but that's just like, I ain't really like, The Simpsons hasn't been good since season 8, so I'm not really like, it's just for different. It's not for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just know it's not for me.
If you think the only place you were able to sort of stream that was America and Canada on Fox, and now you can stream it around the world in any country, a lot of people will go to the platform just for specific reasons like that. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people just sort of go, well, I'm not interested in that thing. But, you know, a lot of people are interested in that thing. So
yeah, it's true. As I said, it might make bank off small groups of people who are hardcore fans of certain things that would like to relive it. But as I said, nostalgia can only take you so far. And I think we could just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. And that ties nicely into the music section because
yeah, for sure. Because we are definitely running out of time. Like,
yeah, I was thinking the other day.
How?
I was thinking the other day about this is not down on the notes, but this is just me talking. I was thinking the other day about how we've both like how music's progressed over the last few years, and how a lot of people sort of, you know, we both listen to a variety of different music. We have quite an eclectic music taste, I'd say. And like, I sort of went from being listening to a lot of punk and rock music in a lower school back to sort of hip hop and R&B, and then like a lot of pop music, and then towards the middle and end of like high school again was like picking up on hip hop and stuff again, and mixtapes. And that's when like I found Nostalgia Ultra by Frank Ocean, and that's sort of why we've sort of come into like this, like me liking all of this style of music now, and I just think it's a nice thing to have now, to think about the progression of the music to just the current artists we have now coming through that are both all quite young, quite creative, and doing some very interesting things. I know if you want to sort of talk about your progression of music and, you know, what you think.
I just say the same as you, man. Really, it's been quite weird to see how music's gone. As I've always really grown up listening to hip hop, R&B, like neo soul, reggae, and, you know, things like that, dancehall, due to like my heritage. And it's just been a natural progression. I've always stuck with rap though, and mainly like rap, grime, R&B a little bit more. I do like alternative like music and instrumentals. That's when like I got introduced to selection in college. That's probably when I really started picking up more on beats. SoundCloud was very integral for when I was in college. Discovered so many new artists on there who are like superstars now, which is weird.
I think actually SoundCloud was very integral to the industry in general, and I think it doesn't probably get enough credit for it.
It definitely get. Obviously, we talk about like SoundCloud rap, but some of these kids like literally birthed entire like flows and generations and like styles and clothes, like the way they dress, the way they talk, like the way how album art like went, like. It was all like these SoundCloud, like it really influenced us in such a big way. Like we was like out here like buying Arizonas, thinking we were young, lean and stuff like that. Like the influence is really, you can see the influence on us growing up. Like
I was sorry, go on.
And how it had such an effect on like the way we were and the way we dressed and the way we carried ourselves and stuff like that. Carry on.
Mm-hmm. And I was sort of discussing this with one of my friends the other day. I was just saying, like, when, like, it was me and you that were sat in college, and I was listening to a song back in, I think it's probably 2014, 2015, called White Iverson, and it was Post Malone on Hot New Hip Hop. And I was just like, you gotta listen to this, like, this is pretty good. Like, I think the guy is gonna, like, be okay. Didn't expect him to be like one of the biggest pop superstars of this generation. like just a random guy on SoundCloud, and now we look at him and he's like, he is possibly one of the biggest. Well, he is one of the biggest selling artists of this generation.
I think there's literally too many people that we could probably say that about. Like, there's so many people that we listened to early on and thought, well, they're definitely going on a good trajectory to have like a good career. Childish Gambino, I never expected him to get to this level. Like, he's literally like untouchable. He's like a family household name, superstar. Your mom's going to be singing, like, it feels like some, like, you know, like everyone knows him now. Like, it's crazy to think that before this, like, I remember in college, and I can't believe, I still think to this day, one of the biggest regrets you ever did is not coming to that show in Manchester with us. Like, to go and see him at a small show, and he did Because the Internet, and that was the last time he ever did a small show like that. I don't think he ever, after that, he just ballooned and just went really big. Yeah, it's just crazy how some of our idols have like became like actual like superstars, like Frank and Tyler, and you know, like
Chance
is like incredibly, like, you know, I heard his new album was supposed to be, well, his debut album was supposed to be insane. Even Jaden, to an extent, he's progressed quite a lot over the years.
He's also picking up a lot of attention for that as well. Like, people that wouldn't normally listen to him. Again, when I was speaking to some of my friends the other day, people sort of took I'm just going to say took the piss out of his persona. But now people are sort of respecting him as an artist because he came onto the scene so young that they don't really see what sort of like happened in his progression music wise because they don't bother to listen to him. And it was actually from the new releases Eris Is Coming, someone actually listened to that and then messaged me and was like, oh, okay, like, I just listened to Jaden's new stuff and it's actually pretty good. Like, when did he start doing this? And I was like, all right, you've got to check out Sire because you've missed out on a great album there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just there's a lot of things like I was thinking, like, if I wasn't trying to like make the show work and, you know, do game design and, you know, do like designing and, you know, just try and have our own like thing going, I probably would really like to be an A&R, like, and do music, like work in the music industry. I think we've got good ears for music, so like I think I definitely could definitely maneuver in that industry. I don't know though. I'm saying this like I could. Well, like I think we've got good ears for like.
You don't know until you try.
Exactly. So, you know, companies, you want to holler us, take a look at our playlist. We've usually got fire on there weeks before they even blow up. So, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? So, you know, we got people reaching out to us like, oh, do you want us to be on like our playlist? And I was just like, but you have trash on there most of the time. Like I don't know. Sometimes these playlists don't really seem like that popular, like, but they've got so many likes. I don't know. Anyway, let's go down our new releases. That was just a little trip down memory lane. Just a little insight on our personal lives. Yeah, so we've got new release. Speaking of someone who we've been on for quite a while now. Probably we got there on the tail end of their blowing up, really. Even though not really me so much. I dwelled on the same forums as this the leader of Brockhampton, and Brockhampton was formed on KTT. Shouts out to KTT, all the goons. And yeah, so this is Arizona Baby by Kevin Abstract. Now this is the full release of the album, and this is an additional 5 tracks added to the already 6 tracks that were released through 2 separate EPs. And the together, the entire thing is I enjoy it together. I didn't like the EP separately, but I enjoy the album together. And then I think the last 5 songs were really good as well. Like, I liked that last portion of songs the most out of the other 2. So yeah, it was really interesting to see him rap about some of these topics, and he's obviously detailed about Amir and what was going on with that, and yeah, I just see there's like a lot of hurt. I think a lot of things have changed in terms of how he's dealing with being in a band and being the leader and having so much scrutiny on him at the same time. But also, the album just seems a little bit, not like, I wouldn't say like, it just seems like a little bit more drawn back. Like, it doesn't seem like there's too much going on. Like, I think maybe I expected something a little bit more impactful for his first major debut, if you know what I mean. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I just expected something a bit more bigger. What's your opinion on it? Just real quick before I go on with the rest of the releases.
Yeah, I think it's a really solid album. There's a lot of good songs on there. I can't say that I don't like a song on there. Actually, from listening to it, it's actually been one of the albums I've had on repeat the last week. So it's definitely had like a good influence on me. I really like it. Like you said, the last 5 songs that come out, I really like them. But then, you know, I like Baby Boy. That's probably my favourite song off the album, along with like Peach and Crumble, pretty good. American Problems, a really interesting song as well. So he's definitely got like different variations of style on the album, which I like. But yeah, it maybe could have been a bit more hard hitting, but I don't think it was needed. I do want to talk about his publicity stunt after the new releases, but we'll talk through the new releases first, and then just sort of talk over that a little bit at the end.
We also got another album by Lizzo, Truth Hurts. This album is really interesting. I got put onto this while I was at work, and it's a pretty cool project. I like the beats on it. I like the way how she raps. It's just really, really cool. Definitely check it out. It's been getting rave reviews from critics and generally the internet. So she also came on and performed with Janae Monáe at Coachella, and I heard it was one of the best performances. So yeah, so I'll check out Lizzo, Truth Hurts. And wait, it's not Truth Hurts. Sorry, that is one of her songs.
Isn't that her singles,
I'm about to say that's a really cool song of hers. I think it's called Like I Love You. I think it's the debut album. I could be wrong. 1 second. I'm just doing. This is what happens when you don't fact check.
It's 'Cause I Love You.
'Cause I Love You. 'Cause I Love You. Sorry, got it wrong. Just a lot of albums on this list. Everything is Good is Bad. The EP by SL, and this is the debut EP by young drill artist SL. But he's more than just a drill artist. He's got some lyricism, so I have to applaud him for it. And you can see he's got like brilliant moments on there where he really shines as an MC, and not so much more as like, you know, just a drill artist. And we've got Anger Management by Rico Nasty and Kenny Beats. The album is fun, it's infectious, it's short but real snappy and highly enjoyable. So if you want to listen to that, I definitely would. Nothing short of, as I said, an enjoyable project. Not Waving But Drowning by, I want to call him Loyal Connor.
Loyal.
I did say Loyal, but then somebody said in the video Loyal Connor the other day, and I was like, oh, I've been saying it wrong. So
I don't know
yeah,
why. To me, it's spelt Loyal.
That's how I thought it was Loyal as well. Like Loyal Connor, solid project by British MC. It was not MC, but more of a rapper MC, whatever. it's a good project. I like the production on it. I really, really like the song with Sampha. That was on the playlist this week. And I just think it's really good. Go check that out. Go support the UK artists. SL as well.
Another one that wasn't mentioned actually in this list, but that has come out this week. The links to Loyal Kana is Ezra Collective, Don't Steal My Joy. Yeah, You Can't Steal My Joy, which is they're sort of like a jazz band. It's quite a modern jazz, and that's got features from Georgia Smith and Loyal Kana on as well.
Oh, cool. See, I don't missed out some of those little ones there, more obscure projects.
I think it literally came out today, so it's pretty new.
Oh, okay, cool. We also have, now this is a bit odd because we haven't seen her in a while, but FKA Twigs is back with a new single called Cellophane, and the video is really cool. It's super futuristic. I loved her aesthetic and what she does with all of her videos and her sets, and I think she's really she does this weird, I don't know what the style of it is, but I think it's futurism or something like that. There's a certain style that it's called, and I just love the way how she portrays it in her music. And it's been 3 years since. Apparently she's had some serious issues in these 3 years, health issues and all sorts, and she's had a baby, and so hopefully this is going to be a real return to form with should be a second album, which is going to be called LP2, I guess. So yeah, I can't wait. Moving on, we also have Schoolboy Q, Crash Talk, brand new album by Schoolboy Q. I ain't even really gotta say much other than it's straight fire, and you should definitely check out the project because it's hard. I wouldn't say not as lyrically assaulting as Blank Face, which is more of a West Coast album with so many bars. This is more of it's still got a lot of bars in there, but you can see where Q's took more of a risk with doing some more maybe more commercial pop songs, using more trap drums, things like that. Maybe to have more crossover records rather than to have a lot of bars on there.
Yeah, not really sort of well received by some fans who are blaming the label for it, but he has come out and said that it was all his work, and if they don't like it, well, fuck them. That's his words.
That's so. I heard that as well. I didn't think the label had anything to do with Schoolboy Q. They don't really intervene with Top Dog Entertainment projects. Nobody does shit like that over there. Everyone, you think the place where Kendrick and SZA and Isaiah Rashad and all these other artists come from is going to mess about with Schoolboy Q's project? How does that even make sense? Some people are just really just talking out their ass, man, sometimes. God. Anyway, we also have totally skipped over two projects. Homecoming, the live album by Beyonce, is out. That's just a live version of a Coachella set, but it has a brand new song on there by Tay Keith that flips a really amazing sample. It's really, really cool. And hopefully that kind of style of music is going to be on the next album. Makes me excited. And as you said before, Airs is coming by Jaden. Also, he's changed his name to just Jaden, no more Smith. So I don't know what that means, but could mean something. Could mean that maybe he's sick of carrying around the Smith name. Could mean that Jaden's growing up. Who knows? We don't know much about that. Crazy But It's True by Lil Guy. Don't really know much about this project. All I know is Lil Guy, it's got a lot of steam on him right now. A Guide to Being a Partying Freshman by Teaser Korean. Now, he's a pioneer of that dance that everyone you might have seen doing, that whoa dance. He is the pioneer of that kind of music. So he probably does have a good guide to being a partying freshman. So if you want to check that out and you're a freshman, or if you want to have a party playlist or a party album, then sure to have some really cool beats on there for you to get your war off on. We got we got For the Throne, and that's a Game of Thrones soundtrack. I've listened to the Weeknd, SZA, and Travis Scott song. It's kind of like weird, but like cool at the same time. Like, I don't know how to really feel about it. The A$AP Rocky and Joey Badass one, I had to turn that off. I couldn't listen to that one. That was just too much.
Yeah,
too much cringe for me. Too much cringe for me.
In my opinion, as a fan of the show, they've took a lot of good artists, but it doesn't work. Like,
you know, it was one of them ones where they were like, "Hey, we're paying you a bunch of money. It's Game of Thrones. You guys are in the studio together. Get to work."
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what happened in it. Like, they just put SZA, The Weeknd, and Travis Scott all in one room and was like, "Hey, you lot are like three of the biggest artists. Get to work and make a song."
To me, that just sounds like a Weeknd song as well. And Travis,
you know, it was probably like
Travis
a Weeknd.
Was not good in that song.
That was a Weeknd throwaway from like the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack. That's next.
What, set in the medieval times?
I don't know. I have no idea. I ain't even watched that film before.
50 Shades
Who knows,
of the Black Plague.
Fuck knows. I don't know. But beats me. In more positive news, Lemonade is now on all streaming services. So let's get
drink.
that tea. What? Say it again.
Not the drink.
Not the drink. I'm talking about Beyonce's album. So let's get the tea, sis. Let's go. And Wiz Khalifa's Fly Times Volume 1, The Good Fly, Young. I haven't listened to this Wiz project, but from like seeing what the caption is, definitely a mixtape. It's definitely going to have some chill beats on there, more underground cuts. Not going to be like his albums at all. And that is all we have for new releases on music.
Interesting fact as well. It also came out on 420, surprisingly.
Of course, he's fucking Wiz Khalifa. Blaze it, I guess. Only if you have a card and it's legal in your territory. And we're just moving on now because we've only got a little bit of time left. We do not have much time left.
Nah, I wanna talk about. We might have to leave some stuff for next week because we will leave some stuff. But you said you wanted to talk about something specific. I want to talk about the Kevin Abstract publicity stunt that he did this week for his album. He stood outside his old house on Brockhampton Street for 10 hours on a treadmill in a sort of piece of art publicity stunt to promote his album, but also to promote empathy. And it was quite an interesting watch. You watched it as well, so that's why I think that it'd be good to discuss it. We had a little conversation about it earlier as well. But
yeah, I understand. Like, I've just got like a couple points to say on it, and then I'm going to be done because I understand what he was trying to do. It was a publicity stunt. He's trying to promote the album. I didn't really know it was really about this whole thing to do with empathy, and yeah, I did understand that, but I didn't know that was the sole point of of him doing that. I didn't know, like, maybe it was more clear on that. I think he did have
tried to empathize on his t-shirt.
Okay, well,
but I guess probably not that noticeable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if maybe people knew that more, or maybe had more of like a reasoning, like I'm no shade to like the fan base or anything like that, but maybe they just are not. They just didn't get it. Like, they just don't think sometimes, do they? Like, they're just.
I think that was the entire point of it, though.
Like, the fan base has been. There's been multiple different people on all sides of the fan base that have criticized this album quite a lot, and I do understand where some of the criticism is stemming from, where they align with some of my views, and then some of them they don't align with my views. And who am I to say if someone has a wrong opinion? I can't.
I do want to point out as well, I'm not sure if it was promoting his album has just released Arizona Baby or a new Brockhampton project, because it does say at the end the 1999 project by Brockhampton.
So I'm not really quite sure, like, if he knew what the outcome of this was going to be like when he first did it, or if he was expecting things out of fans, or if the fans even understood it. But I also think as well, it may be that these kind of things might not be the best thing to do with a fan base like this. It's just I don't think they understand as much as you're giving them credit for. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they're really as in tune with how he was trying to express himself.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was the whole point of it, though. That's
what I'm saying. Like, everyone is just making things up. Like, everyone is just speculating what this is all about. Like, all I know is that he looked like he was in terrible pain, and he just essentially killed himself. He collapsed towards the end, so that already goes to show. So
he was walking for 10 hours straight on his
That's what I'm saying. Like 10 hours straight. Like I just didn't really understand what was going on. To be honest, I just thought, hey, like, he's just doing it for art. Like, you know, kudos to him. It was kind of just like a little bit like the whole "he will not divide us" like type stream, but except it wasn't a politically driven live stream.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like a, you know, like a self-promotion thing. So I don't know. I don't really know I don't have much of an opinion on it because I wasn't there. I don't really have much thought towards it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change my opinion on him as a person. So
no, I just skipped through it a little bit. It doesn't change my opinion on him as a person or anything, but it just sort of, the way I interpreted it was it really highlighted the fact that, you know, he's been put into the spotlight. He didn't ask to be put into the spotlight where he's famous, and he's not taking it too well. And he's probably trying to raise awareness for mental health and issues surrounding trying to fit into places. He had some decent conversations with some young people early on in the stream. In the first hour, a lot of people were coming up to him and actually talking to him. He'd ask, "What's your name? What do you do? Do you want to speak about anything?" And they were having like really good conversations, you could say, for like the first hour. People that actually wanted to be there. And as it went on, you started to see that, like 4 or 5 hours into it, people were coming up saying, like, bear in mind he's been walking on a treadmill for 4 or 5 hours at this point. And only like a few people offered to give him water. People did bring him food at some point, but then they were still sort of going up to him saying, "Hi, can you just sign this, please?" "Yeah." "Oh, can we just have a selfie, please?"
I just
and
think...
then saying thank you and walking away, and that was it. And to me, sorry, go on.
No. You carry on. I shouldn't cut you off. Still, go on.
To me, that was like sort of like embedded, like that sort of symbolized trying to show the empathy there, like feel empathy for him, because this is what he has to deal with on a daily basis. And you can see it like firsthand on a live stream. You could see, like, I think the treadmill, but the way I took it in an art form, the treadmill is him going about his daily life, working hard and getting tired out, and then everyone around him, surrounded him, trying to get him to do stuff, is just sort of like added pressure that's not needed. Like, it's not supporting him, it's just sort of doing it because you can do it because you're there. Like, everyone does something for themselves. And towards the end as well, they did get asked to like step away 10 feet and move back every like 10 feet for every minute it ended, and it took everyone a long time to move back. Like, people didn't comply.
People just wouldn't want to do shit like that. And yeah, it is.
And there was,
as I said, if anything, it just confirms like the fan base, and like, I know, like, the Brockhampton fan base is like, you already know my gripes with the fan base. I can't really say too much on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say specifically that fan, but I say there's a lot of people out there that don't respect the boundaries and limits of, you know, celebrities and artists in general. Yeah, these people are still people. You know, if you respect their work, you don't have to have a photo with them. You don't have to get them to sign something to show that you care about what they do. Like, you don't have to get that photo to show your friends. If you meet that person, use that time to take the experience, to learn from them, to speak to them, to understand what their thought process is, to actually connect with them. And trust me, that experience will be much more worth it in the long term for you than a photo. You know, memories last forever. If you delete that photo, it's gone. Yeah, you can never take that conversation.
Memories do last forever unless you get. We're not going down the dark route. I was say that's a darker, deeper route, and we're not going down that route. But I'm just saying that's not true, Tom. So don't tell the viewers that. So, I mean, don't tell the listeners that at all. Don't tell the listeners that, because you may forget things. I don't know, like, anything could happen. You could have a nasty fall on the head. I don't know, like.
This is not how I wanted to end.
No, but everything you said. But everything you said up until that point, like, I am just messing about, and I'm totally joking, and nobody should be doing anything like that, and I hope nothing happens to anyone. You're right though. The way how that people maneuvered, and the way how he has to deal with that on a daily basis, I now that you've explained it, I do understand a little bit more about the reasons why he did do it. But I also think as well that the fan base has molded into this thing where, I don't know, they're very privileged. They're a very privileged fan base, I think. Like, they like to kind of hassle, like, Brockhampton about things, and then get pissed off when they don't get stuff. And God, I've seen some quite awful threads and stuff on the subreddit and stuff, and it's just
awful threads. What sort of term is that?
Threads, man. Like,
threads. I thought you just say like some awful guys called Fred were like abusing people on the internet.
Nah, Freds. Nah, not Freds. But Joe, it's time for us to go.
Yeah, I have a nice ending though.
Oh shit!
During the whole live stream, people were asking him if he was okay. He would respond no, right? And no one at that point asked why, or asked him, do you want to speak about it? And I think that just sort of shows his point straight. Like, it sort of encapsulates everything that he wanted to show straight to the point. Like, people look like they care and look like they want to be there, but when someone's got a problem, no one was really there to help. So I just want to end by saying, in awareness of mental health and stuff like that, you know, even just in general, to be nice. If someone is not happy and they say they're not, just ask and speak to them and listen. You know, it doesn't take long. And even if it does, you know, you've done something good for a day and it could help them for a lifetime. So, you know, that's all I want to end on.
Yeah, that's true. And if so, there is lots of services and things to take advantage of. Like, you know, if you hear about a friend, or if you're feeling, you know, like you're being affected by something in such a way where it's causing you harm in your day-to-day life and things like that, and, you know, the way how you do work, then please reach out to somebody, or a friend or a family member, or any like of these like services that you can find. We really should have this information at hand, but it's different for all over the world, so find your nearest service, and hopefully everything will work out. Yeah, everyone should learn more and be more empathetic towards each other. The world would be a lot better. I think we can end right there, really. Yeah, it's been a great show. 808s and Joysticks. Thanks.
If you liked any of the music in today's show, then please check the credits in the description to see what songs we used.